So some doctors are calling for more research into the side effects of very popular diabetes and weight loss drugs like Ozempic and Wegovy.
And hard to find, so no surprise, some people are selling Ozempic and knockoffs on the black market.
Weight loss or weight gain is under our control.
What if Hollywood's biggest glow-ups weren't inspiring at all, but warning signs? Over the past year, dramatic celebrity weight loss transformations have flooded red carpets, interviews, and social media feeds, leaving fans shocked, worried, and asking the same question. What is really happening behind these sudden changes? This is not about shaming anyone for how they look. It is about exposing a growing pattern, one tied to pressure, profit, and impossible beauty standards that are now affecting far more than celebrities alone. What happens when a pop icon changes so much that fans stop admiring the look and start asking if they are even looking at the same person? That is exactly what happened with Christina Aguilera. When she appeared in 2025 to promote Burlesque, the reaction online was immediate. People were not just talking about her outfit or styling, they were focused on how dramatically different she looked. For many fans, the change felt startling. Christina has been in the public eye for decades, and her image has always evolved with the times. But this time, the transformation seemed more extreme. Her face looked sharper, her frame noticeably slimmer, and her overall appearance so altered that some people said they barely recognized her. That kind of reaction says something deeper than ordinary celebrity gossip. It reveals the moment when a transformation stops feeling like reinvention and starts feeling unsettling. What makes Christina's case especially powerful is the history behind it. She has spent years being judged for every version of her body, from the early days of pop stardom to later phases of maturity and motherhood. So when she appeared thinner and more angular, the public response carried all that history with it. Fans were not simply reacting to one appearance. They were reacting to years of watching a woman's body become public property. Her transformation became a symbol of a larger problem in Hollywood. When someone as recognizable as Christina starts looking unfamiliar, it reflects more than personal change. It reflects an industry where the pressure to stay relevant, polished, and thin can become so intense that even identity begins to look negotiable. What happens when a star known for breaking Hollywood's rules starts looking like she's being pulled back into them? That is exactly why Melissa McCarthy's transformation hit such a nerve. For years, Melissa stood out because she did not fit the industry's usual mold. And that was part of what made her so powerful. She was funny, fearless, relatable, and wildly successful without ever needing to become a more polished version of someone else. So when Melissa began appearing noticeably slimmer, people did not just react to the weight loss itself. They reacted to what it seemed to represent. Her body had never been the reason audiences loved her, but it had become part of a larger cultural conversation. She symbolized the idea that a woman could be talented, visible, and beloved without conforming to the narrow beauty standards Hollywood keeps rewarding. That is why the shift felt bigger than a personal lifestyle change. It raised uncomfortable questions about whether even the most established women in entertainment can truly escape the pressure to look smaller, sleeker, and more conventionally marketable. Melissa had built a career by expanding what success could look like on screen. Seeing her move closer to the industry's preferred image made many fans wonder whether individuality in Hollywood is ever fully allowed to stay untouched. Her transformation became more than celebrity gossip. It exposed the quiet tension between personal choice and public expectation. With Melissa McCarthy, the conversation was never just about losing weight. It was about what gets rewarded, what gets softened, and how even the women who once challenged the system can still end up reflecting it. What happens when a celebrity finally admits there is more to the story, but still leaves everyone guessing? That is exactly why Kelly Clarkson's transformation became such a major talking point. For months, fans watched her slimmer appearance spark endless speculation. At first, Kelly credited walking more, eating more protein, and making healthier choices. But as the conversation kept growing, she eventually acknowledged that there was another factor involved. That admission changed everything, but not in the way people expected. Kelly made it clear that she was using something to help, while also insisting it was not the medication everyone assumed. That distinction became the most fascinating part of her story. It sounded honest, but it also showed how carefully celebrities now navigate this conversation. They revealed just enough to stay credible, while still protecting themselves from the backlash attached to certain names. What made Kelly's case especially powerful was the reasoning she gave. She framed the decision around blood work and health concerns, not vanity. And maybe that is true. But in Hollywood, health and appearance are rarely separated so neatly. When a major public figure transforms visibly and quickly, the image speaks just as loudly as the explanation. Kelly Clarkson's story captured the new celebrity script perfectly. Deny the most obvious assumption, admit to a different form of help, and present it as a medical necessity. The result is a message that feels both transparent and carefully managed. Her transformation was not only about weight loss. It became another example of how public honesty in Hollywood is often partial, polished, and shaped by the pressure to remain both relatable and admired at the same time. What happens when a celebrity gets exposed without ever meaning to say a word? That is exactly what made Scott Disick's transformation one of the most talked about moments in this entire conversation. In a culture where celebrities carefully manage every detail of their image, Scott's story did not break through a formal interview or a polished statement. It broke through a refrigerator door. By the time viewers spotted medication boxes inside Scott's fridge during an episode of The Kardashians, people were already talking. Fans had noticed that he looked thinner, more hollow in the face, and visibly different from the version of Scott they had followed for years. There was growing speculation, but no direct confirmation. Then that one casual scene changed everything. What made the moment so striking was how ordinary it looked. The boxes were not hidden like a secret. They were sitting among everyday items, almost like they belonged there. And that image sent a message bigger than Scott himself. It suggested that in certain celebrity circles, pharmaceutical weight loss has become so normalized that it no longer even feels unusual enough to conceal. Scott's case also stood out because male transformations tend to be read differently. When women lose weight quickly, the response is often framed as beauty or success. But when men suddenly look much leaner and more drawn, the reaction can shift toward concern. With Scott, many fans were not admiring the result. They were questioning what it was costing him. His story became more than a celebrity rumor. It turned into a snapshot of how casually image management now blends into everyday life behind the scenes of fame. What happens when a celebrity transformation stops feeling glamorous and starts feeling unsettling? That is exactly what happened when Kelly Osbourne stepped out in London in December 2025. What should have been a routine public appearance quickly turned into a wave of online concern. Fans were not just reacting to her blonde, Marilyn-inspired hair or polished styling. They were reacting to how dramatically different she looked. The conversation hit harder because of the heartbreaking context surrounding it. Just months earlier, Kelly had lost her father, Ozzy Osbourne, in July. Grief can reshape a person in ways the public does not always understand, and sometimes that pain shows up physically before anyone has the language to explain it. That is why many of the reactions online did not sound cruel. They sounded worried. Kelly responded with raw honesty, saying she was doing the best she could while dealing with unimaginable loss and trying to stay present for her family. That response changed the tone immediately. This was no longer just another celebrity body conversation. It became something more human and far more uncomfortable to watch unfold in public. Kelly had previously spoken openly about her weight loss journey, including surgery and long-term lifestyle changes. But this time, fans believed something about the speed and visibility of her appearance felt different. Whether that shift came from stress, grief, pressure, or something else entirely, the speculation revealed a bigger truth. Kelly Osbourne's transformation became more than a headline. It exposed how quickly celebrity culture turns visible pain into public discussion, and how impossible it has become for women in Hollywood to grieve without also being judged for how they look. What happens when even someone like Steve Harvey starts looking like he is racing against Hollywood's impossible standards? That is what made his transformation feel so striking. Steve has always carried himself with confidence, charisma, and that larger-than-life presence people instantly recognize. But when his appearance changed noticeably after the pandemic, fans did not just see weight loss. They saw another example of how relentless the pressure to stay camera-ready has become. Steve himself joked about gaining weight during the pandemic, describing that period as a time when he let himself go a little. At first, that sounded relatable. A lot of people gained weight, slowed down, and stopped obsessing over appearance during those years. But what caught attention later was how quickly that extra weight seemed to disappear. Suddenly, Steve looked leaner, sharper, and visibly different, and that dramatic shift sparked speculation. What makes this story more complicated is Steve's age. He is in his late 60s, and at that stage of life, rapid physical changes do not always read as simple self-improvement. Sometimes they raise questions about health, pressure, and what it takes to maintain a public image in an industry that rarely allows people to age naturally on screen. For male celebrities, the expectations may look different, but they are still there. Steve Harvey's transformation became another reminder that Hollywood standards are not just aimed at women. Men are caught in the same machine, expected to stay polished, youthful, and competitive no matter their age. And when that pressure becomes strong enough, even someone as established as Steve Harvey can end up reflecting the same troubling pattern shaping the rest of celebrity culture. What happens when one of Hollywood's most relatable stars suddenly becomes the center of a transformation people cannot stop talking about? That is exactly what happened with Mindy Kaling. For years, Mindy built her image around honesty, humor, and authenticity. She spoke openly about motherhood, confidence, and the challenges women face in entertainment. But when her appearance changed dramatically, the conversation around her became impossible to ignore. By early 2025, fans were already reacting to how different she looked at public events. The shift was striking. Mindy appeared noticeably slimmer, more sculpted, and far removed from the version of herself audiences had known for years. What made the reaction even stronger was the fact that she said very little about it. In a culture where celebrities often turn every workout and every wellness choice into content, Mindy chose silence. That silence became part of the story. On one hand, she has every right to keep details about her body private. On the other hand, the visible results still carried influence. People saw the transformation, compared photos, and filled in the blanks themselves. Whether the change came from intense exercise, lifestyle changes, cosmetic refinement, or something else, the mystery only made the fascination grow. What makes Mindy's case so revealing is that she was never just a beauty-driven celebrity. She became successful because of her voice, her intelligence, and her relatability. That is why her transformation hit differently. It suggested that even women who challenged Hollywood standards can still be pulled toward them. And sometimes, saying nothing at all can reinforce those standards just as powerfully as speaking out. And that is the real story behind these transformations. This was never just about weight, beauty, or celebrity gossip. It was about pressure, image, and the cost of trying to meet a standard that was never built for real life. If this video made you think differently, Drop your opinion in the comments below. And do not forget to like, subscribe, and turn on notifications, because we are just getting started uncovering what really happens behind Hollywood's perfect image.